Hello and welcome to this Art of Allowance short. I'm John Lanza. I often see folks questioning the value of an allowance, and I'd like to respond with my perspective. When I wrote my book, The Art of Allowance, a short, practical guide to raising money smart, money empowered kids, I thought about trying to coin a clever new phrase to replace allowance because I know some folks bristle at this idea of allowing their kids to have money. Still, allowance is a term that most folks immediately associate with raising money smart kids. So I decided to focus instead on what I call the art of employing an effective and purposeful allowance. Now, listen, I recognize that every family is different and every kid within every family is different. That's been my own experience, and it's been the experience of every single family I've spoken to about raising money smart kids. So, what we do here at the Art of Allowance Project is provide a framework rather than a do it this way or else kind of system for you, the parent, to be your kid's guide on your family's money smart journey. That journey begins as early as 2 years old. And in fact, you can start an allowance with your kid as early as age 4 or 5, because an allowance sets the stage for you to have an open, honest, and ongoing conversation about money. Now, naysayers will often claim that an allowance is a giveaway. I agree with them. It is a giveaway if we're not purposeful with how we distribute it. We must be intentional. We can start by offering some form of this explanation to our kids at allowance time. I'm giving you this allowance to help you become money smart, and I am here to be your guide when you have any questions. It's also important to define the purpose of an allowance. Its purpose is to help our kids learn to use money as a tool. We want money to hold no sway over them other than as a means to an end. With an early allowance, we can teach them the three basic money smart skills: setting and saving for goals, making smart money choices, and distinguishing between needs and wants. Furthermore, naysayers claim kids should work for their money. Chores. Again, I agree. I'm all for chores. But remember, a chore's purpose is different from an allowance's purpose. The purpose of chores is to teach our kids that work can earn them money. We're also not talking about house chores like making the bed or emptying the dishes or clearing the table. These basic chores might be considered rent that our kids pay to live in our houses. These tasks are the bare minimum we ask them to do as members of our household. And most folks I talk to agree that kids don't need to be paid for these basic chores. The chores I'm talking about here, I describe in my book as above and beyond tasks. Ones that you might do yourself or you might pay someone else to do. For example, cleaning the car or raking the leaves, those types of chores. Chores that will teach your kids that work can earn them money. But most kids' ability to complete chores is limited at best. You'll likely be pretty disappointed if you tell your 5-year-old to rake the yard, let alone make his bed. And at young ages, you don't want to miss the opportunity to give your children experience with money. This is one reason why an allowance can be so valuable, because it's an easy way, when done purposefully, to give our kids opportunities to practice using money, to get comfortable using money, all at a young age. And we all know that experience is an excellent teacher. And remember, allowance helps open a dialogue with our kids about money. This is one of its primary benefits. We establish that our family is comfortable talking about money. It's not a taboo topic. And we want to start this conversation as early as possible. And I want to close with my biggest concern. Naysayers often turn this conversation into an either or scenario, either allowance or chores. I believe we're best thinking about this conversation as a yes and situation. Yes, I provide an allowance to my kids, and I include chores as part of my system so that they learn they have to work for money. Each of our family systems will, of course, be slightly different, but all of them can begin with a starter allowance and then move towards a structure that adds in more chores. In fact, some families may move entirely away from allowance by the time their children are in middle or high school, with chores or even jobs outside the home providing all their kids' incomes. And other families might think like First National Bank of Dad author David Owen. He considered school his kids' primary job, and he willingly provided them some form of an allowance. Of course, as I say in my book, if you just can't get past the term allowance and don't feel comfortable with it, then focus on a chore only system. It's more important that your kids get money practice than it is that you follow this framework that I've explained. As with most everything in life, there are simply no absolutes. But there is one thing we can all be sure of, and that is that we as parents will do our best to find a system that works well for our families. That is the art of allowance.